Just one? I'll get it. Things got to warm up. All right.
Don't start crying.
I got some water here. I really thought it was important that the principals had a chance to speak. I have to say, when I had him come in the other day, we already looked at these options that you're about to see. And I wanted to hear their thoughts, and it was their passion. I was a little surprised, really, about what they had to say. I could tell pretty quick these are quality people. We showed them these options that we're about to show you, these other options here. I think these options are pretty, these other alternatives are pretty, there's some pretty exciting ideas there, no question about it. I know these people are innovative and want to do the best for their kids, and I pushed them pretty hard. I think they'll agree with that some of these other things we were talking about, if we had these opportunities, because there's things here that are good for kids, would they not consider doing that? The thing that really got me about it was how they really stayed consistent. That plans that had been proposed and that they've been working to implement was really what they preferred to do. So as hard as I tried on that, they really stuck to their guns on that. And I thought that was significant. I thought it was important that you hear their views. But at this time, we're going to show you some other alternatives, and Mr. Rogers is going to go over those. And we were asked to think out of the box, and that's what we tried to do. And I want you to know, I asked them to go as far as they could go, and I put my 2 cents in on this too in terms of contributing some ideas. There were a lot of ideas. When you brainstorm, you get a lot. We coalesced them down because many of the options were similar. There's slight variations, and we might get on those as the discussion goes on, but we felt like for the sake of discussion, a presentation to you, that we put them into categories. I think 3 major categories was. And so that's what you're going to see at this time. And we really think we kind of run the gamut in terms of, okay, if not that, then what? And let's try to get out of the box.
Thank you, Dr. Waddell. First off, it is my privilege to be here. I appreciate the school board and Dr. Waddell, and really it's been a good exercise for us.
You must love exercise.
Well, and we put in a lot of time. But I will tell you that looking back, and I wasn't the person that decided to go to 9-10s. I was hired to help implement it. But looking back, looking at the data, I still believe it's a very, very viable option. Now, Mr. Knapp, 2 school board meetings ago, said, let's get creative. And I can express my appreciation to Michael, because Michael and I have been very creative the last couple of weeks. And that's okay. I think it's good to look at other options. And so, as Dr. Waddell alluded to, we have taken all these options and sort of boiled them down to 3. And certainly we'll be open to entertain questions. Option 1 is continue the current proposal with 2 LHS 9-10s. Our rationale, LHS, the largest feeder pattern. We did have a bond election in 2008, which had 9-10 as part of it. This is the board-approved plan for the last 5+ years. And as you've heard the principals talk about what they see as the benefits. The additional expense, there is none. Now, when you listen to the great student speakers that we've had in the last couple of meetings, and actually one of them alluded to the next option. Actually, Michael and I talked about this before, but we'll give the student speaker. And that's option 1A. Continue the current proposal, except allow the class of 2014 to go on to Louisville High School. There is room. Classrooms are not being touched during this construction phase 1 that's happening right now. That takes care of the group very legitimate concern. They came together as a class. we're about to split them up again, send them to 2 9-10s. Then you start your 2 9-10s with just next year's freshmen only. Okay? Opportunity, that gives the instructional leaders opportunity. Next year's freshmen are the very first class to face the new testing system from our state, the EOCs or STAR tests. That gives us the opportunity as instructional leaders just to focus on the freshmen with the EOCs that they're going to face. LISD, as I said, has the space for 10 through 12, and it gives us another year to assign the LHS teachers, those 10th grade teachers, trying to figure out where they go. There is no additional expense. So that's number one.
So each campus would have just 9th graders?
Yes, sir. Option 2, continue current campus grade configuration. 9th grade center, 10 through 12th grade center. Keep Kilo where it's at. Convert the 30-40 location to a new career center. I'm in charge of career tech. I'm okay with that. It would prevent us from having to bus kids from all sides of the district. I mean, right now, because we have unique programs at both career centers, we send kids from Marcus, Flower Mound, Louisville to both career centers to the east side and vice versa. So it would prevent that. It also would probably, and notice I put the plus there, because of the amount of space available, it does give us some extra room that we need to do something with. And, you know, we've had some great discussions with Dr. Riddell and all of us there about the opportunities. A high-tech high school, early college high school, academy, IB campus. You know, it would take us some time to do some research and get some information. Rationale, continue the 9th grade concept and the opportunities for the 3rd campus. There are additional expenses. $19 million more in construction. And if we ever open up a high-tech high school, of course, there's additional operating expenses anytime.
Mr. Rogers, that $19 million, that's to expand the LHS rebuild.
Yes, sir.
To keep the capacity.
Mr. Perry, I think, is about to talk about that.
Right. Oh, well, that was a good question.
Good segue.
Good evening. That was actually a great segue. You actually took my introduction completely gone now. I'm completely flustered.
Back up.
We, as Dr. Rogers said, we have worked extremely hard on this, and it's very difficult to follow the passion and emotion that our principals have. But I'm going to try to present to you as many options as we can. Originally, we had over 14 options. Good news is we don't have them all here tonight, so it would take us a little while to go through 14 options. But we looked at 4 factors as we went through each one of these options. We looked at the feasibility. First off, could we actually take and talk about renovation and talk about additions? Could we physically put that on the site? And there were a couple of options where we said we really could. We didn't have the physical dirt to put another addition on some of our options. The second thing we looked at was schedule. How quickly could we build it? How quickly could we renovate it? What does that do to us long term? The third thing we looked at was schedule with students. What does that do to our students? Where do we house our 10th graders? Where do our 9th graders go? And how does that shuffle our students around? And the fourth thing we looked at was cost with each one of these. So we based this on the information that we have in front of us today. We spent a lot of time looking at each one of these options. I want you to know that we didn't just pencil whip this, so to speak. We had to establish a baseline for each one of our options. Option number 2 here is currently the main campus is scheduled to be 11th and 12th grade students, capacity of 2,200 kids. This particular option takes it to 3,000 students. We picked a baseline start date of April 1st of 2011. We had to pick a place to start. Construction would begin September 1st of 2011. You might ask, well, why don't we start right away? To do this large of an addition, it would take us time to redesign, rebid, and the bottom note on this slide, we would have to go back for permit. So we believe that would take us about 5 months to do that. To increase the capacity to 2,600, we believe we can complete that by June 1st of 2012. We're shooting for a goal of 3,000 students. So what happens, why can't we finish it all by that date? I'll show you a slide here in just a moment where really we would have to phase in the rest of that because frankly the rest of the addition sits where the existing building sits. And we'd have to phase our demolition in. It does delay our auditorium renovation slightly. We could not start that until 2012, and again that's because we would phase the demolition in. It's always difficult to put a blueprint up on a slide like this. It's difficult to see, but I did want to show you that we took the time to actually try to design this in. And what this requires, as you can see in the upper corner, this actually requires a 4th floor being put onto the main campus. Currently 3 floors, 2,200 kids. It does require a 4th floor be put onto the campus. It also includes a renovation to our library out the front and to a renovation to our cafeteria and kitchen out the back side. And here's the addition that I was just talking about. Currently the main campus sits right here. If I could orient you to the slide, Main Street sits up top. Our stadium sits over to the side here. So our renovation would go out the front here, and currently the main building is sitting there. So we'd have to phase in the demolition of the existing building. Now, we had planned some of these future expansions when we originally designed the facility. So we're taking advantage of what our crystal ball we kind of thought we would do this in the future. We never anticipated it taking to 3,000 students, so that's why we had to go to the 4th floor. As a side note, if it ever did get bigger, 3,200 students, 3,300 students, we still would have room to expand further out the front. Back to the city for just a moment. We would have to go back to the city for 3 variances. We're still underparked here for events. There's a landscaping variance. And frankly, there's a variance for a screening wall across the back. The good news is we've gotten rid of all of the other issues with the design of the new facility. So this particular design takes us to 3,000 students with the ability to expand to 3,200, 3,300 students in the future if we chose to do that. So what do we do with the 3040 campus? As Dr. Rogers alluded to, we have the opportunity there to take a facility and design it into a career center, into a high-tech high school. There are several different options. With this particular option, option number 2, we took the program that's out of the East Career Center and we designed it into the 3040 campus. So we actually took that program, sat down, went through the blueprints and said, okay, what fits where? We think we could start that by April 1st of 2011. We could get some program back in there and complete by June 1st of 2012. And I say that because once we've built a classroom space, if we're going to teach in there, we can teach in the classroom. The renovations that always scare us are the heavy renovations. If you're going to put auto body tech back in the gymnasium, it may take us a little bit longer to renovate the gym because you can't just park on that maple floor that we just put down. As a separate note, and I'll get to this here in just a second when we get back to the dollars that Mr. Ferguson alluded to, this could be postponed. It could be an opportunity for us to take a breath for just a moment, stop, and think about what are those things that we want to put in there long term. High-tech high school, some kind of college courses. There's many options. We could stop for just a moment and take a breath. This is the program that I alluded to before. We took this as currently the 3040 design, what we're currently calling our 9th and 10th grade campus, and we put the programs in there that came from the East Career Center. In the corner there's the TV studio. Of course, we've got a functioning kitchen in there. It could be a culinary arts program. This is currently gymnasiums. This is where we would put the auto body, auto tech, auto repair classes. Just in summary, to take the current 11th and 12th grade campus, main campus, which is currently designed for 2,200 students, and expand it to 3,000 students is approximately $9 million. Requires a 4th floor, requires expansion of our cafeteria, our library, and expansion up the front. Renovate 3040 campus, we believe that's $10 million based on the program we have at the Career Center. Should that change, costs could go up or down. Now, as a side note, this is going to require a complete bond package review. Because right now the $10 million is not there. And I'd recommend we do that no matter what option we really go to. because frankly, several things have changed. One, this bond was done prior to me coming to the district. We have a new superintendent, we have new board members. The economy's changed, our demographics have changed, so it is time that we do that anyway. I'd recommend that we do that this summer. But in order to fund this, it would require a complete review of our long-term plan for our bond program. And I listed it as what I call the 4 R's. It would require us to reallocate, reprioritize, reschedule, and potentially reduce in order to fund these additional projects. We have enough to fund approximately $5 or $6 million of the $9 million to renovate the main campus to 10, 11, and 12. It would require us to, again, look at our long-range bond program, or potentially take money out of general fund, or potentially take, I'm presenting options, Mr. Ferguson,
Sorry, I was just coughing.
or potentially steal from other departments.
When you say take, so we've got 2 other 9th grade centers planned. Put those in jeopardy? Have to reevaluate those?
We would have to relook at everything. We have 2 9th grade centers left. We have 2 middle schools left. We have another elementary school. We have 5 elementary school additions, an aquatic center. Land is still in there. Maintenance and technology funds are still in there. It would require us to look at all of those things. And as we go through these slides, several of these have the same thing, which is take our main campus back to 10, 11, 12. So I won't spend as much time on the next ones as we go through there. But again, in order to fund these, it would take us to look at our long-range plan. And just as a side note to this, when we were presenting all these different options to Dr. Waddell, we played the rabbit trail game for just a moment. And I won't spend much time, because we spent a lot of time. We've spent many hours going through this. But if you chose to do this, if you chose to do 3040 as a career center, the first question you got to ask yourself is, what do we do with the kids at Dale Jackson? We just moved them to the 3040 campus, so that facility is now empty. The pieces of the puzzle that I tried to shift around was, if 3040 was our empty campus, how do we shift those puzzle pieces around so that the empty facility is one of our facilities that is older, maybe less efficient, frankly not as useful as some of our other facilities. So if you renovate 3040 to a career center and you take Dale Jackson, take the kids out of that and put them in 3040, one possibility would be to take the faculty out of the old delay facility. Move them to Dale Jackson. The old delay is a wood frame structure, it's not fire sprinkled, it's an older facility, it's costly to maintain. But you see the options. There are many options, and we can sort the puzzle pieces out. That's just one of them.
Michael?
I don't do that.
Yes,
Quick question. You're using the brand new school as the career center. What if you use the Ward campus as a career center and not after? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good.
We're in charge of the segues.
You know, we could reverse that.
14,
Make sure everybody knows that wasn't planned.
Sorry about that.
14 options.
I told you we came up with a few options.
Option 2A is really still the same general thing, and that is 10 through 12 campus, 1 9th grade campus. It just changes a couple of things. One, we move current Kilo to the 3040 campus. Why would we do that? Well, because the new 3040 campus is a larger facility, so it gives more space for Kilo. We still rebuild and expand LHS to 3,000, but then we convert the current Kilo site to the new career center and to some other type of high school type. Rationale I've already told you about. You can see the additional expenses, $18.5 million construction. This transportation issue, Mr. Buck in Transportation Department, we would have to add, I think, 3 or 4 new bus routes to take all the kids that are in the Kilo area to the 3040 campus.
One.
Because all of the students are going to be bused to the South Campus because it qualifies as a hazardous route for virtually every student that's be attending there, whether they come from north of Main Street or south of Main Street. Every student qualifies for busing.
What do we we currently investing into the current ninth grade campus?
We're spending about $190,000 right now because the students living around Kilo are all walking there. If we move that to the south campus, all the students that live around Kilo will have to be bused to the south campus. And we're already busing the ones living south of the street. Kilo.
So we're already spending 190
We're spending approximately.
around there. Okay.
This would double it.
It's doubling the transportation, and that's an estimate.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the cost of the career center piece? Because career center is,
Approximately 17.5 million, round numbers, yes.
right, okay. We don't have another college high school. I'm just trying to think, rather than renovate one of those, it's almost cheaper to build the new career center.
Well, but Mrs. Gregg, if you notice the plus, what we're saying is out of either the 30-40 campus or the Kilo site, we can actually gain a career center plus some other type of high school.
So you're saying 30-40 would be a career center / early college.
Or high-tech high school, or whatever it is that we.
One of the things that, the space is there. One of the things that appealed to us on makes this an interesting option is you realize, Michael makes presentation, you know, really thinking of a new tech or a high tech high school, is that you can self-contain it, the classrooms are already there, but those kinds of high schools are project-based high schools. And even though they could operate independently, what we kind of saw as the possibility that they might start blending, where the kids could use those labs and shops to do applications from their high-tech and new-tech.
So it can be used by all the kids in the district.
That the work they're doing, they might could go into the career center and utilize that. Nonetheless, as you said, it would actually be two different campuses to begin with. Work in the career center like you have Dale Jackson, and got that right. I asked him if Dale and Lily were married. and the East Career Center. So, you know, but it's just, down the road, you just imagine those two kind of blending a little bit over time because the opportunities there, but they can operate independently. So it presents some interesting options.
Just to give you an idea of size, the Career Center East is 95,000 square feet. The new campus on 34 is 218,000 square feet. So
It's over twice as long.
Yes, sir. You could put the new Career Center in there and have many additional schools. Yes, sir. So again, this slide shows taking our current 11 to 12 main campus to a 10, 11, 12, 3,000 student capacity. I won't spend much time on it because it's the exact same slide we just saw. Again, blueprints. So in this particular example, we convert Kilo to a new career center / high-tech high school. Kilo is a little bit smaller. It's 175,000 square feet. You can still do a lot of good things there. Again, board approval April 1st. We've divided it up, again, going into a school and renovating heavy welding areas, heavy automotive areas. Those are the heavy type of renovations that always take a little bit longer. However, we obviously have teaching spaces there. We have science labs there. There's great opportunities to use that as a career center. We feel like we can get some of that done by 2012. Again, this could be postponed. Again, we could step back for a moment. We really looked at it as two issues. We looked at the first issue, and I'm going to use my hands for just a moment. This issue was about this big. We figured this is 10th graders. What do we do with 10th graders? We've got this option. We've got the option you just saw. We've got 9th and 10th grade centers. We've got 9th, 10th. We've got all these issues about this big, and they're all focused around 10th graders. And then the next issue, this particular one, is this big. And it's really a long-term plan for the district and what we want to do with our facilities. Do we want to do another career center? Do we want to do a high-tech high school? And all of that could be done immediately, we could stop for a moment and look at our programming and what we want to do long-term for the district and for our students. And again, I come back to, Mr. Ferguson, your statement is, this requires a long-term look at our bond program for funding. This is Kilo. We took the program for the 95,000 square feet of the Career Center East and fit it in here. Again, you can see the wide areas, there's a lot of space left over for us to do other things. There's other opportunities. Cost-wise, approximately the same cost, just slightly less, $9 million again to take it to a 10, 11, and 12, 3,000 student main capacity, main high school, 3,000 student capacity, $9,500 to renovate, $9.5 million, sorry, $9.5 million for a total of $18.5 on this particular option.
Option three, we really sort of got creative. You know, if you drive by Huffines Middle School, there are a lot of portables, and we thought we could shift a couple of campuses. So if you look at that, we still move Kilo to the 3040 location like Michael just described in 2A. We still build LHS for 3,000 students for 10th graders. We then renovate Kilo Louisville High School to become the new Huffines Middle School. We shift that over to a bigger facility. Then we converted Huffines to our new career center, high-tech high school, whatever other options we decide. So once again, those are the things. You can see the expense is a little different, and I'm going to let Michael explain that.
Again, same slide that you just saw, taking our current 11 to 12 main campus to a 10, 11, 12, 3,000 student capacity. There's the blueprints for it. As Dr. Rogers mentioned, this is Huffines. We did try to think, how far outside the box can we think? Built in 1997, it's not more than, say, 5 or 6 years away from time for another renovation. As Dr. Rogers alluded to, we've got portables there. The other thing that made this appealing was the amount of ground that's here that's somewhat level. We could do some future expansions here if we ever chose to. Some of our other sites were restricted by the amount of land we have. 145,000 square feet, more than enough for a career center, could still expand into something else, and there is room, should we ever choose, to go on down the road and expand even further. Move the middle school students to Kilo. And this is Huffines. This is Huffines with the 95,000 square foot Career Center East programmed into this building. Cost-wise, a little bit more expensive. $9 million, again, to make the main campus 3,000 students. We figured, we put an allowance in here of about $500,000. Additional renovations to Kilo. There's a move that's going to be required here. And finally, $10.5 million to convert Huffines Middle School to a new career center / etc. Total of $20 million. Again, conditioned upon bond package review.
Really, this slide just said, and after the February 14th board meeting, and you know, I went rather late, I went to Dr. Waddell, and really and truly, as the principal said, as I said, our job is to do whatever your decision is. We will make it work. That's the bottom line. That's what we get paid to do. I feel very grateful to get to work with people right here. And I've worked in Louisville ISD 25 years, and I can promise you, whatever the decision is, we will make it work for LHS students. That's the bottom line. And so I want you to know that we appreciate the opportunity, because we do believe it's great to be a part of it. Question? That's it. We're done.
Lord, I hope you and the community, will feel that we did some work to go back and take some clean sheets of paper and put some things out here for you to consider. I want to again thank the staff. I thought they all did a great job. Central administrators, principals, for all their hard work. The whole administrative team came together, and I appreciate it. I knew these guys, every one of them, contributed great ideas, which include putting up issues that we're concerned that we need to address, as well as contributing ideas, so I thank them for that. But we've given you a lot to think about. And I think for perhaps you, and maybe for the community, there's some ideas that have come forward here that were unexpected. And really, that's kind of what we wanted to do. We haven't had a lot of time to deal with this, but I think we've done the best we could under a short time period. Again, the proposal is still here. The principal spoke about it. You heard their viewpoints on it. The proposal is still on the table to do the 9th and 10th grade centers. And we saw an option to vary on that. But we thought if, after discussion, that you choose to not go in that direction, we wanted to give you something that was completely different and that had the possibility of giving us something that was really unique and to be an incubator or a laboratory to take this district towards the 21st century. And so I believe in the passion of these principals. I do believe that they would make the concepts work that have been proposed. I don't have any question about that. I was at delay today, and I was absolutely blown away by what I saw there. It was one of the most amazing camps. I'm telling you, that's one of the most amazing campuses I've ever set foot in. And so I don't question these guys. When I listen to them talk, I've been doing this long enough to know that I'm facing some great principles, and I have confidence in doing that work. And that's something that when people have passion for something, then I believe in them, and I believe that they can get the job done, and that's how I feel about it. Nonetheless, you have some other interesting concepts to consider. And it's really about the future, and it's about what's best for kids. And I think these principals will be the first to say, they did say, that they want to do, we want to do something that's best for our children. And I think we've given you some options to do that. I think they're all forward with them. The latter ones have some aspects in that there's benefits for other students and other attendance zones in the district. It would give us some options in terms of new ways to instruct students. So we want to stop there, and it's time for discussion, and we're here to answer your questions. And any of us who presented or others here around the table are here to help you. And our hope is, though, tonight, I don't want to be too ambitious, but really, we've got to get an answer. We've got to, it is time to move forward. There's been conversation, and that's been a good thing. It's taken us to this point, but it's time to get somewhere. So we're hoping at the end of the day,